Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The common sense amendments that the Conservatives and the Bloc so carefully crafted at committee to improve Bill C-3 are being undone by my post-nationalist colleagues across the aisle. They don't believe in Canada because they don't believe in our borders. They believe in a two-tier immigration system where citizenship by naturalization within our borders has harder requirements than citizenship by descent outside of our borders. They believe in distributing the privileges of Canadian citizenships abroad while offloading the cost and duties of citizenship to those who live coast to coast to coast. They believe that Canadians of convenience should be able to wear the Team Canada jersey without even putting time on our ice. People who want to be in the team photo without being a team player. Mr. Speaker, let me remind the House how this entire situation first began. The phrase Canadians of convenience emerged after 2006 during the Lebanon Civil War. Then the Canadian government evacuated 15,000 Lebanese Canadians at the cost of $94 million to Canadian taxpayers. They were evacuated beginning in July 2006, and by September of the same year, 7,000 of those evacuees had returned to Lebanon. This was the central reason why the Harper government took action to initiate the first-generation limit several years later. So let's make this definition very clear. Canadians of convenience, as grounded in our 2006 example, are those who hold Canadian citizenship but live abroad and do not participate in Canadian society. They view Canada as an insurance policy when a crisis emerges, but never pay into our system. They are passport holders who merely parachutes back into Canada when they need assistance. They wear Team Canada's jersey, but they never played with us. Mr. Speaker, the Conservatives are in full support of all measures needed to specifically address the lost Canadians situation. However, lost Canadians must understand that they have been used as a Trojan horse by the post-nationalist Liberals. The first order effect of the original Bill C-3 was to directly help the lost Canadians. The second order effect of Bill C-3 in its original form would have indirectly created over 100,000 Canadians of convenience. This is why the Bloc and the Conservatives united together to create a common sense amendment that would lessen the impact of Bill C-3's second order effects. Mr. Speaker, let's discuss these common sense amendments that were crafted in committee. Might I add, crafted by recognized opposition parties through a committee where committees are central to the parliamentary processes. And our legitimate parliamentary work is being opposed by Team Orange that was stripped of official party status. I will only entertain this tangent once, but I do question the legitimacy of an unofficial party challenging the parliamentary work of recognized parties in committees. What are the optics of this? Why bother having parliamentary committees if all voted resolutions are ignored? But I digress. Back to the amendments. The goal of our amendments was simply to harmonize the requirements of citizenship by descent to those of citizenships by naturalization within Canada. Is it too much to ask for a harmonized system with universal standards? What we achieve in the amendments is a strengthening of the substantial connection test while adding quality control reporting responsibilities for the presiding minister. One, we amended the 3-year presence in Canada to be achieved within a 5-year timeline. This allows some flexibility while ensuring some level of intensity. Any more flexibility, and we must seriously ask the question, if we are talking about a path to citizenship or a mere tourism. 2, we added requirements about language proficiency, citizenship knowledge, and security checks. It is not a high bar to demand proficiency in one of our official languages. It is not a high bar to demand that a prospective Canadian citizen should understand the responsibilities and privileges of Canadian citizenship. We expect much more of someone getting their driver license. It is not a high bar to demand a security assessment, but it is a high bar for Canadians of convenience who would like to wear Team Canada's jersey without being a team player in our national ring. Finally, the Bloc and the Conservatives added reporting requirements for the Minister of Immigration. The first reporting requirement is around the number of citizens granted by the enactment of Bill C-3. The second reporting requirement is around security screening exemptions. Essentially, the first stream of data is just to understand how Bill C-3 is performing, and the second is to keep the eye on potential security threats. If you had the best interests of Canadians in mind, these reporting requirements are not just logical, but absolutely necessary. Unfortunately, these reporting requirements are too high a bar in the goals to both obfuscate operational metrics while being soft on crime. Taken together, our amendments make substantial connection tests of Bill C-3 functionally substantial in practice and not just in words. And of course, nothing more substantial than what citizenship by naturalization requires of those understanding its process. Mr. Speaker, what these amendments achieve is the addition of a certain cost to the process of learning Canadian citizenship, a cost to reflect the value that we hold in being Canadian. Mr. Speaker, I would like to wrap up my comments with a topic that has been the central but unspoken theme of Bill C-3, the value of Canadian citizenship. Every Canadian citizen is like a voting shareholder in a corporation. The shareholders have elected the Liberals to be the operating officer of the assumption that they would be prioritizing the values, what it means to be Canadian shareholders. Instead, they have weaponized a promise to reinstate lost shareholders as a Trojan horse to dilute every existing share by issuing new tranches of passive shareholders of convenience. All that the Bloc and the Conservatives are asking is that this new tranche of shares being issued under Bill C-3 meet the same standards as those governing employees who earn sweat equity by contributing to our corporation. So, Mr. Speaker, when the Liberals, as the acting officers of our corporation and the consultant on Team Orange, who are no longer legitimate members of this board, decide that C-3 tranches of shares should be issued without the priority investment and work we require to sweat equity earners, I have only one question. Are they fulfilling their fiduciary duty to our existing base of shareholders? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Questions and comments. Question and commentary. The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Government House Leader.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Speaker. What the Conservatives fail to recognize is that there is a difference between someone that says, I want to be able to immigrate to Canada, than someone that wants to get their citizenship reaffirmed. So, for example, a foreign bureaucrat that has done years and years of service for Canadians, but does that service in an embassy, wants to be able to see some form of their descendant to be able to have a citizenship, they want to apply the very same rules where we are affirming the citizenship by having a substantial residency factor of 1,095 days. That's the connection. And I think it's reasonable, given that in order to become a Canadian citizen, if you're a permanent resident, it's $1,095.
I have to give time for the member to respond. The honourable member for Markham Unionville.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you for the Liberal honourable member for that question. The example is foreign services. After X number of years, they do have to return to Ottawa or Canada for a number of years before they get reassigned. And that should address your issue there. And any other corporations, private sector, have similar types of arrangements that can be addressed appropriately. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Again, we'll address all comments to the chair. Questions and comments? Questions et commentaires.
The honourable member for Pierre Boucher, Les Patriotes Verchères. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In his speech, I think my colleague referred to the fact that the amendments that were brought at committee after the series of work that was done by, among others, my colleague from Lac-Saint-Jean, are being taken apart a little bit by collaboration between the Liberals and the NDP. And there's one of those amendments which would have asked that a report on the effects of this bill be tabled in Parliament. So I'd like to ask my colleague, what does he think about the fact that the government with the NDP doesn't want accountability about the impact of this bill?
Member for Markham Unionville.
Mr. Speaker, thank you for the block, honourable member, for that question. I think for any government party, there is an obligation to report to the House and report to the Canadians what's been done. And the simple ask of the committee between the Bloc and the Conservatives were merely for the ministry and the minister to report on facts, and so that Canadians and the Parliament understand what's been taking place and whether there are fair treatment of Canadians overall. Thank you.
Questions and comments. Now, member for Cloverdale, Langley City.
At a time when our immigration system is already stretched and faith in its fairness is fading, Bill C-3 tells the world you can be Canadian without ever truly living here. Canadian citizenship is one of the most valuable things in the world, and it's something generations have worked hard to earn and to honor. But Bill C-3 would give automatic citizenship to children born abroad, even when their parents have spent little time actually living in Canada. We used to have an immigration system that was the envy of the world, rooted in fairness, contribution, and community. But this bill risks turning citizenship into a paper privilege rather than a lived commitment. So my question is simple. Before granting citizenship, shouldn't we expect at least some genuine connection, some proof of interest, effort, or belonging to the country we call home?
The honourable member for Markham Unionville.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to thank my honourable Conservative member for that question. That's true that the value of Canadian citizenship used to be a pride all over the world. And as I said, if you want to wear the jersey, you got to be part of the team. And if we continue with this process of passing on generation to generation, we're going to be losing that Canadian value and the connection to Canada. And therefore, what is the loyalty to Canada other than being a passport holder for Canada for convenience? Thank you.